Good morning and welcome to Family Computer Center. In this video, we are going to discuss about the basic structure of C++ program. To write a C++ program, basically we need a computer for doing all this stuff, and we need a text editor for writing the C++ program, and we need a compiler for compiling. That means converting our high level programming into machine readable code and generate the executable file. We use a compiler. So these are the three requirements for making the C++ program: a computer, a text editor, and a compiler. But in here, what we are going to use is, like, we are going to use something called a Dave C++. This is a C++ IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. That means it's a combination of text editor, compiler, and everything. So in an IDE, you can write your program, you can compile your program, you can execute your program in the same place. So that's why we are using a IDE. Okay, so this Dave C++ IDE is free of cost. You can simply download it from internet easily. Okay, so here I am going to write a basic C++ program. In order to write the basic C++ program, I need a source file. So for making the source file, I will go to File, New, then I will click on Source File. Alternatively, even you can use Control N. So I click on Source File. So now I am going to write the C++ program. So the first statement I need in my C++ program is like hash include IOStream. Okay, so this is the header file. Header file means these are predefined file inside the C++ language library by the C++ experts when they make the C++. So they have added some main codes inside this IOStream file so that your program will run without any errors. Then we are writing using namespace std. So this statement means we are going to include the standard namespace in our program. Okay, so below this we will write int main. Then inside the main is the main function program. All the program executions inside main. Okay, so in here main I am writing cout. Then I am writing hello, welcome to C++. Okay, so this is my program statement. Okay, so cout stands for standard character output device. In the case of standard character output device, this is monitor in the case of C++. Okay, and this is called the output operator. The job of the output operator to pass whatever is in the right side to the left side. So that means in the output operator, in the right side of the output operator, you can see a statement. So that statement will be passed to cout. Cout, as we already discussed, is the standard character output device, and that is monitor. So that means this statement will be passed to the monitor of the computer. Correct? Okay, so this is the basic structure of C++ programs. You always start with the header file IOStream. So hash include IOStream. So we will be adding more header file, depends on the requirement in our program. So in this header file there are some predefined code. For example, what is cout and what is the purpose of this output operator. All these things are mentioned inside the IOStream file. Then just below that you can see using namespace std. That means namespace is for categorizing the same type of code if it is like doing two different things. For example, in the case of cout, there is different types of cout. So we are saying like we are using standard cout in this program. Okay, so standard cout definition is written inside the standard namespace. So if you are not using this statement, suppose you are not using this statement, so you have to write here std scope resolution operator cout. Okay, so that's up to you whether you have to write like this or you need to include the namespace in your program. Okay, so now we want to execute this program. In order to execute this program, there are two steps. First, you have to save your program somewhere in your computer, and after that you have to compile your program, then you have to run your program. So first I'm going to save my program, so I will go to file, save. Okay, then you need to choose the location for saving. I will go to this PC, then I will go to local disk E. Then in here I'm going to make a new folder called 02_C++. Okay, then I choose that folder, and in here I will give the file name my first program. Okay, then I save the file. So my C++ file is now saved. Next step is like I want to compile the file. So when I compile the file, two things will happen in here. The C++ compiler, Dave C++ compiler, will be checking for the errors in my program. So if there is any mistake in my program, it will check. Mainly it will concentrate on the syntax error, the language usage error. So if there is no error, it will generate the executable file. If there is error, it will trigger an error and show the error message below in here. So to compile this, you can go to execute and you can click on what? Compile option, or alternatively you can press the F9 key on your keyboard. Even you can use the compile button in the toolbar. So I'm going to use the compile button here. So now when I click the compile button, it is showing like this is compiling. C++ source file is being compiled now. So once it is finished, it will show the result here. Errors, how many errors are there, how many warnings are there, where is the output is stored. Correct? So here error 0, warning 0. That means there is no errors in our program. So let's see what it will look like when I make an error. So now all the C++ statements should stop with a semicolon. So I'm going to remove this semicolon. So definitely when I compile, there will be an error. I click on the compile button. So you can see it is compiling and it shows the error. In function int main expected semicolon before this. So it shows the error message in detail. So I put semicolon again. And when I compile this, now there is no error. It is saying like error 0, warning 0, compilation is successful. So now in order to run the program, you can click on execute and you can click on which button? Run button. Alternatively, you can click on press the F10 key on your keyboard, or even you can use this run button directly. So when I click the run button, you can see my program is now executed. So this statement is now shown on the screen. Okay, so this is the output of my program. Okay, and you have an option called compile and run together. That makes your life a little more easier. Like you don't need to go to compile first then run. You can directly click on compile and run. So it will do the compilation. If the compilation is successful, it will run the program directly. Okay, so this can be different in different IDEs. Here we are using Dave C++. This is a way of compiling and running program in Dave C++. If you are using some other IDE called Turbo C++ or NetBeans or something like that, maybe there will be some slight changes in compilation and running. Okay. So this is one way of running your program. So there is another way of running your program. For example, once you finish the compiling, you can see like we have compilation result here. In the compilation result, you can see output file is stored in this location. So that means you can directly go to this location, this PC, local disk E to C++. You can see two files here. Actually, we have saved only one file, my first program.c++, but after you compile, you can see there is a new file, my first program.exe. So this is the executable file generated from this source code. So once you compile, this source code will be converted to an executable file and stored in the same location. So you can even come here and double click this one and execute your program. Okay, so that's completely up to you. How do you want to execute the program? Okay, hope you enjoyed the lesson. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure that you subscribe to our channel so that you will not miss any further video we post.